So I've wanted to be in the game industry since I was 14. That's when I set my sights on it. And I started as a programmer. I went to computer science and I actually interviewed with 20 different companies and was following up with everyone, and got my first job at Sony in New York as an online programmer. And then kind of everything developed from there. I've been in the industry over 20 years now. I've always been passionate about art, so it's great to be in Bilbao, and also science. And I got into robotics when I was a little kid, and I also played a lot of games. Actually, I have two sisters, and I know it wasn't common when we were younger, but we spent a lot of time playing games. And I was trying to think of what career would blend art and science. And one day we were playing games, and then it just occurred to me, wait, someone gets to make these games, so why not me? And what continues to make me so excited about video games and still have so much passion is that it's constantly evolving, where there's always new ways to interact, new technology, new things that games are doing. I mean, there's always new ways to recreate what a game is, and that's super exciting. It's the possibility of pioneering and creating new experiences that's really exciting to me. We don't have a formula in the game industry. There's no set, okay, a movie is 120 minutes long and this is the format. There are so many new things to explore. So that's one thing that's been consistent for me, is the fact that games are continuously evolving. The thing that's become more and more important for me now, though, is working with the teams. When I started in the industry, it was all about the project. It was all about, what are we creating? And what's become more and more important as my career has evolved is building the teams and building the culture and who I get to work with. Yeah, it's interesting when you work on the franchise. It feels like your baby, but then the baby grows up and it takes on a life of its own. And I think it's sort of, now I'm a parent and it's kind of the same. Sometimes your kids make their own choices. I think it's interesting to see that, first of all, we never imagined it would be this big, right? In our wildest dreams, we were hoping, okay, let's make 3 games. If the first one works, let's make a trilogy. And, we were thinking, well, hopefully we can make movies or comics, and we were working on a book with the first one. But, now there's over 20 games, and it's really taken on a bigger life of its own. I think the thing that surprised me the most in the recent games has been how strongly they've become RPGs more than action games. When we first made the original Assassin's Creed games, they were really much more focused on the action and in the moment, and now the RPG elements are quite strong, actually. It was a difficult decision to leave Ubisoft. I mean, a lot of people thought I was crazy because I had, proven myself there. It did feel like family. I still, talk to a lot of the people there. I'm good friends with tons of people there. I have a lot of respect for the leadership. So it was a tough decision, but ultimately for me, there are 3 key things that I'm passionate about. One is taking, very ambitious challenges. I like taking impossible things and trying to accomplish them with a team. 2 is helping people. I like building teams where people feel like they can do their best work. And 3 is learning. To me, it's very important to always push myself, and it's tied to the first one about being ambitious, but I really like to put myself in more uncomfortable situations and not get comfortable. And I think that's the side of being in a company like Ubisoft for over 10 years and having success there and building a good reputation, is you can end up feeling like it's too comfortable. So I made the decision to try, somewhere new and try and learn some new things and different ways of doing things. Working on Star Wars was amazing for me. Actually, it was always one of my dreams to be able to work in Star Wars, and I think it's the case for a lot of gamers. I think as a franchise, it's really exciting, especially for action-adventure games and the types of games that I've made. I think you always start with the player fantasy, like who are you going to be in the game and what actions does that type of character get to do, right? And if you think of the Star Wars brand and franchise, there's so many great archetypes. You could be a soldier, a pilot, a bounty hunter, a Jedi. All of those things come with really great action, you know, to put in a game. And it's such a deep franchise with so many different things to mine and new stories to tell and ways to connect the dots. And it was really fun to work with Lucas and all of the experts and coming up with new experiences, especially given, you know, more recently I'd been working on franchise that I've helped create, which is a whole different story. You're starting from scratch. Every little thing you want to put in, you have to think of it. Okay, what do we do and why? And in Star Wars, there's all of this wealth of stuff that you can tap into. What I'm doing next is still top secret. I'm not ready to say anything. It's just such an exciting time in the game industry, and you know, I've been talking a lot to you now about my passion being pioneering, and actually I'm very flattered to be getting a Pioneer Award, and it really ties to what I love doing. And there are some things going on now in the industry and opportunities to pioneer that I'm just incredibly excited about. There's a lot of really interesting things going on in the industry, and I've always been happiest when I get to work with, you know, teams and be part of the creative process. So I'm going to definitely be able to, you know, tap into that again in my next role. I'm incredibly excited about streaming and cross-platform and this concept that, you know, basically when you're designing a game, you're thinking about what kind of interactions you want to provide, what kind of entertainment, how much time a person has, you know, and maybe scaling it to the screen size and the time they have, but not necessarily a different experience for a platform per se. It's really, you know, how do the games adapt to a player's needs and a player's circumstances and setting? And I think that's an interesting way to think about things differently. Oh, okay, great, good.